This gentleman, you know, is the Secretary of Retribution. They're gonna create, you know, this is, of course, not official, but when somebody claims that this is what they are doing, and they've identified 350 people that they want to see arrested and tried for treason. Folks, you know, this is scary stuff. This just harkens back to 1935 Germany. And, you know, there are people out there that are looking this, you know, to take this kind of retribution in the name of, you know, the former president. So, as Jamie Raskin says at the bottom there, you know, this is basically a death warrant to the people that are on that list. You know, the crazies that are out there. When this happened, by the way, my wife told me, "You're done, John. No more. No more posting. No more of this." And I said to my wife, I said, "No, I'm going forward. My name's already on the list somewhere, I'm sure, and I'll be, you know, I'll be fine." But there's a lot of people that are concerned. For example, our Monday session that we had for this, the two people that are conducting the Monday session, Mara and Eric, they said, I'm not comfortable being there. I'm not comfortable doing it on Monday. So I stepped in and said, okay, I'll take it over for you.
Mara and Eric Lampinen?
Pardon me?
Eric Lampinen?
No.
Oh.
No.
Okay.
I prefer not to use last names while we're recording, okay? So, but the bottom line is, there's a lot of fear out there too. And it's a real shame. It's a shame because prior to 2016, we didn't have to fear damage to our property of putting a yard sign out, you know, supporting our preferred candidate. We didn't have to fear, you know, physical, you know, attacks on our property and ourselves for supporting a candidate. But because of the opposition candidate to the Biden-Harris team, the opposition candidate has said, I'm your revenge, I am your retribution, and, you know, this is creating a problem. So bottom line is, I'm concerned about it, and I think you should be too. And let's talk a little bit about, you know, this mandate for leadership. You know, the wonderful, beautiful words that are being used. You know, these beautiful words that leadership, who doesn't like leadership, right? This is one of the points that we have to be understanding of. Over 100 ultra-conservative organizations have come together under the umbrella of the Heritage Foundation. Now, this is not something, though, that's been done in the last 6 weeks, last 6 months.
20 years.
It's been more than that. It's been over 40 years that the Heritage Foundation has been in effect, that they have been working to, first and foremost, select and vet federal judges. All of our federal judges and the Supreme Court justices that were appointed under the Trump administration have all come from the Heritage Foundation. And these other ultra-conservative think tanks that are there too, some of them are pretty scary. You know, Moms for Liberty. Moms for Liberty scares me to death. You know, the good news is Moms for Liberty are really getting beaten back in the local school board type elections. A lot of recalls for good reason. But bottom line is, these folks are, you know, there. But you got to understand, the spin machine is going. The spin machine is working. And this is a gentleman that kind of is the head of it, Paul Dans. Paul had a major role in the Trump administration from 2016 through 2020. I think this is understandable because, again, you know how the Trump administration has been pushing back. But it's a plan to fix the administrative state. It's a plan, again, they're not doing it in the way I would with this. I would be spinning this as we're just trying to make this federal government more effective and efficient. You know, how many of you have had trouble with the red tape and the bureaucracy of our federal government? You know, they're not saying that necessarily. They're talking to us as an administrative state. They're also referring to it unabashedly as the deep state. So, you know, that's a code word, you know, in the cult. You know, so this is part of the challenge. But it's creating headaches for the Trump campaign because a lot of people now, in the last 6 weeks especially, have said, whoa, wait a minute, are you really? This is not some kind of crazy conspiracy theory that the left has thought up? You know, no, this is in writing, this is for sure. And all of a sudden you see Trump putting out, a tweet saying, I have never heard anything about it. I don't know nothing about nothing. Right. Yeah, just one more lie, one more lie. So what's happening is, and I apologize for the eye chart here, but this is comparing Project 2025 to Agenda 47. Agenda 47 is essentially become the Republican Party platform. Okay? So the similarities are significant. Okay? For example, in the area of the federal workforce, they're going to reissue what's called Schedule F, which basically removes any civil service protection for career bureaucrats. Okay? People that have worked their entire lives as experts in their field for the federal government will now be subject to just being fired for no cause, other than the fact that they have said no to the president. I don't think that's a good idea to the president, type of thing. Executive power, expanding executive power, consolidating control over everything in the federal bureaucracy. Okay? And those are very similar plans. So again, you go right through this. We're going to go through some of it in the next few minutes to share with you. But bottom line is, Project 2025 will be implemented if Donald Trump is elected on November 5th. So, what's the plan? Let's hear it from the horse's mouth. How about that?
All about Project 2025 with one of the co-authors there at the Heritage Foundation, Stephen Gross. He joins me. Stephen, thanks for being with us here. You were watching your Rebecca Caster's report there. This is a very lengthy report, platform policy plank, whatever you want to call it, guidebook maybe, 700 plus pages here. You start the document with some of these key tenets, the first being the restoration of the American family. Why start with that one? What does that mean?
Well, it's important because from the conservative standpoint, from the consensus standpoint of many of the experts that that contributed to the report, if you start with that foundation and build out from it, you can't go wrong. If you protect the sovereignty of the individual, the sovereignty of the family, and then work your way up to what makes sense policy-wise, there's little you can do to make that to mess that up. If you're looking about issues of inflation, healthcare, the economy, national security, when you start from the core component that has built America from the beginning, then the policy choices should follow. And it's a long book. It's actually over 900 pages, and along with the sanctity and protection of the family, those are the core concepts upon which all of the policy ideas in Project 2025 are based.
So speaking of one of those policy project ideas, reforming the administrative state, your critics have described that, you guys at Heritage, through this, want to dismantle the administrative state with kind of carte blanche federal firings of if there is a Republican president come January of 2025 here. Is that the goal of this? Can you explain that? What do you want the administrative state, these federal agencies, to look like? Say, if some of them are working in the EPA or at the Fed who don't abide by or are not in line with, say, a Trump presidency and his ideological predilections.
Yeah, so the agency looks. If the bureaucrats and the career officials that work in these agencies actually execute the policies and the agenda that President Trump wants to advance, the policies that he was going to be elected to advance this November, then there's not going to be a problem. The issue is we have have 4 years of evidence from 2017 through 2020 of repeated efforts by that bureaucracy to slow roll or block or put up obstacles to the president's agenda. What the president did in 2020 and what we recommend that he does again when he wins in November is something called Schedule F. And it's something that drives the left and Democrats crazy because what it does is it makes these federal bureaucrats accountable. When you have senior federal bureaucrats who make policy, implement policy, you need to be able to have them actually do that at the president's will and his timetable. So we're not looking to fire thousands and thousands of bureaucrats. That's not an efficient way to work at all. And it would be very inefficient to have to replace every single senior policy-making career official. We just want accountability. We want to be able to go to these long-term career bureaucrats who otherwise may be skeptical of conservative policies. I mean, you know as well as I that the federal bureaucracy votes 90% plus in favor of Democrats. We just want them to do their jobs.
Sure, but could the president though legally fire them if they are, say, not Senate appointed or confirmed?
Well, that's where the Schedule F comes in. The current state of things is you have these senior career officials who are protected by these civil, the civil service protections, and there's this long, years-long appeals process if they ever get disciplined, much less fired, just disciplined or transferred. There's this whole network of appeals that go into effect. What Schedule F would do would be to turn this particular layer of senior officials into effectively presidential appointments so that they can be transferred, disciplined, fired, or demoted if they're not doing their job.
You know, Stephen, I wanted to ask you as well. There's a lot of talk, a lot of information being thrown around about Project 2025, especially what you liken to a second American revolution. Can you understand why some of your critics might pause at that characterization of what the intent of Project 2025 looks like? Do you see where they're coming from or not when you describe a second American revolution in the project?
I can only see why they would take, a rhetorical flourish and try to turn it into some type of dystopian future, like the film that's out called, Civil War.
Sure.
But what we're talking about is, regaining control over the executive branch, resetting what the separation of powers was meant to be from the framers of the Constitution, rebalancing things. We got a big victory in the Supreme Court when the Supreme Court has reversed this so-called Chevron doctrine, taking away some of that regulatory authority from federal agencies. They did a great favor to the country and to President Trump when he's reelected in doing so. But, trying to turn a rhetorical flourish into what our policy ideas are is just lies and piling on and great mischaracterization of what Project 2025 is all about.
Okay, so just some more of those as well. A possible repeal of the Civil Rights Act, the 20th Amendment, a second American Revolution, bloodless if the left allows it. Also, I want to put this up to you guys have been dispelling some of this on your social media platforms about end no-fault divorce. You say that is false. So are all these things false? Are people whipped up into a frenzy, or is there some truth behind some of them with the 20th Amendment, the Civil Rights Act? What are you calling for? Are you calling for them to be reformed, amended, repealed?
Well, that document you showed was kind of our myth fact sheet.
Okay.
Where the left has created some graphic and attributed a lot of crazy policy ideas to nothing that Project 2025 has ever advocated for. We're not hiding our work. I mean, this is the book that you mentioned. This is not a private document. You can go online to project2025.org and download this entire book for free if you want. It's all here in black and white. And so when the left goes onto social media to lie about the project and its recommendations, you can figure out what their intentions are. That graphic you're showing right there is actually one of the lies that Biden himself pointed to.
Okay, we've heard from Biden, we've heard from the First Lady, we've heard from so many prominent Democrats almost each and every day since the debate, bringing up in their mouth Project 2025. So they're using it as an attack line, the threat to democracy attack line against you guys. So we'll see whether or not it has any staying power, but they are on the attack about this, are they not?
They are, and you're quite right that it's happened since the debate, because the party's in complete free fall disarray, and there's absolute chaos going on within their ranks, where they've realized, apparently for the first time, that their candidate's head is full of pudding, and he can only work from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. every day, wondering whether he's going to make it through the campaign, much less another 4 years. So their campaign now is to tell a bunch of lies about Project 2025, and then tell another lie, which is that it's Trump's project, which it's not. Trump will set the policy when he is elected to be president.
But why? But Stephen, why do you think former President Trump on Truth Social last week made it a point to distance himself from the project and to, in some ways, completely disavow it, saying if he gets elected, he's going to do what he wants? I mean, how did you guys take that? Were you working in tandem with members of the Trump campaign in this?
No. Project 2025 started 2 years ago before President Trump or any other candidate even announced their candidacy. The book that I held up there was published in April of last year. So we haven't worked in tandem with any candidate, and the project only speaks for itself as a coalition of 1,000 conservative policy experts and analysts. The president is running a campaign, and that is what his focus must necessarily be on. The president knows that when he's elected, he's the one who's going to set the policy. Project 2025 is just there to help, to make recommendations, and to support the president. You'll see a lot of parallels between the Project 2025 recommendations and the president's agenda, because at the end of the day, we're all conservatives, all looking to make America great again.
Okay, so, if Donald Trump is elected here and say he doesn't listen to any of Heritage's policy prescriptions here, what if he doesn't take any of them into account? To your point, the RNC already adopted their policy platform on Monday. The RNC is less than a week away. Yes, there's a lot of overlap between this document and that document here, but if Trump gets into the Oval Office in January of 2025 and he has that on the Resolute desk, what if he just ignores it? What if he doesn't take any of it into account here? Will it just be a policy document from a DC think tank that goes nowhere?
That's a risk that Kevin Roberts, the president of the Heritage Foundation, and hundreds and now thousands of conservatives that have worked on the project took. We're going out on a limb to spend a lot of resources, time and money to make recommendations, though, to make policy recommendations, to make personnel recommendations, to develop transition plans, but it's all towards just trying to assist President Trump when he gets elected. We never set out to pretend that we were the ones making President Trump's agenda. The president has made his agenda, and you see from that RNC platform that there are a lot of overlaps there. If at the end of the day he doesn't want to look at any of our recommendations, of course we'll be very, very disappointed by that. Of course, there will be hundreds and hundreds of people who worked on this project who will likely be serving in that administration, because they are former Trump administration officials that will want to serve the president once again. So, of course, we hope and pray that the president and his team take a hard look at our recommendations, but there are no guarantees in life. All we do as think tanks, and it's not just Heritage, it's 110 conservative organizations who are making these recommendations. But yes, we'll be disappointed if the president ignores everything that we have to say. But that's life.
All right.
A lot of beautiful words there. Started off with the family. How can you think evil when we're talking about family.
And what do they consider family?
Family is
White
one man,
man,
one woman, and multiple children,
Yes.
okay?
You know, I was concerned, what is sovereignty of the family?
Right. What, it's a good thing, I'm not sure either, are you?
No, I don't know. I mean, the Constitution says we the people. It doesn't say we the family. So I'm kind of confused about what that, family sounds good to everybody,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
who's against the family? Nobody.
Beautiful words. But did you notice as it went along, as he's talking, those beautiful words started going down, in my opinion. Okay? And he's telling you, don't worry about it. Just don't worry about it. Everything will be fine. Okay? In 2016, as disappointed as we were with the election results, we could take some solace in the fact that there will be adults in the room with Donald Trump as our president. And there were, thank goodness. We had General Milley as chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff of our military, who would stand up and say, no. No, we had retired General Kelly, who was chief of staff for the president, who said no. And he must have said no enough times that Trump finally fired him. Okay? But these people will not be there in 2025. These people will not be there. All there will be are people that only know one thing to do, with their head, and that's this. And bow down and say, yes, sir, 3 bags full. This is dangerous. We're going to create an imperial presidency. The Supreme Court, 6 members of which have proven their mettle, in voting in favor of Project 2025's plans already, have said the President of the United States is immune from any prosecution for laws he break while in office as he declares to be official acts. Okay? Of course, I know what the people are saying. If the president does something really bad, a high crime or misdemeanor, he can be impeached, right? Well, we saw how that went.
Yeah, he's gotten out of everything.
Yeah.
He's got.
And again, it's because it's political. That's a political move. It's not judicial. It's not following our laws. Okay? And people vote along their political lines. And it takes 2/3 of the U.S. Senate to convict someone who's impeached. Okay? And the chances of having 2/3 of the U.S. Senate being of one party, I hope and pray, are, pretty difficult. But bottom line is, when I was in school, I was taught in government class. Why isn't that moving? I was taught in government class that we have 3, parts of our government. In fact, our Constitution says that. We have the legislative branch, we have the executive branch, and we have the judicial branch. And they are supposed to be separate but equal. They are supposed to be watching over each other, Overwatch type of approach. But with Project 2025, we're putting all the power in the hands of the executive branch. Okay? And there's no overwatch. There's no separation of powers as per se. For example, you remember why former President Trump was impeached the first time?
Mm-hmm.
Because he withheld money that had been allocated by the legislature. Okay, the power of the purse rests with the legislature. Money that had been allocated to go to Ukraine. He withheld that. He withheld that and wanted the Ukraine to do something to help him with his election in 2020. He was impeached for that. Okay? Our legislative branch passed a law saying it's illegal to withhold allocated funds. Trump has already said, Project 2025 has already said, that law is unconstitutional. And he's already saying he's going to withhold allocated funds from the legislature. For example, I go to the state of Michigan because he doesn't like Gretchen Whitmer. So the money that's allocated to help our infrastructure, for example, help fix the damn roads that she's doing and succeeding at, he's going to say, no, it's not going there. Okay? This is scary stuff to me. This is scary. It changes our way of life. It does away with what we have worked with for almost 250 years. So again, just throw it out. Understood. Now, what are some of the specific things? Obviously, one of the big points, if you had the stomach to watch the Republican convention in the last 2 days that I did, they're just saying, we're going to give a big tax break again. We're going to give a big tax, reduction, especially to the rich. And what this slide shows us is that's going to be on the backs of us. Is there anybody in this room right here that makes more than $5 million a year?
Not lately.
Congratulations. And you are getting a big tax cut if you vote for Donald Trump. Okay? But I don't know, I'm not there. How about $400,000 a year? Okay? Joe Biden has said, and I believe him, that if you make less than $400,000 a year, your taxes will not go up under his administration. And I believe that. And how many of us in here make more than $400,000 a year? I don't see many hands raised. But look at this, what's going to happen. This is not, something crazy. This is coming from, people that are looking at it, the way the tax brackets will shape up. It's going to cost people money, people that can least afford it at the lower levels of the income scale. They're going to increase their taxes. Again, it's this tax cut, this great big beautiful tax cut that he's talking about will add another $2 trillion to our deficit. And of course, everybody goes to the deficit. It's just terrible. It's god awful, But who adds to the deficit? It's been the Republican Party for the last 40 years. Everything they have done is added to our deficit. Okay? I have a personal reason why Project 2025 scares me. I'm the proud parent of a trans daughter. What they plan to do to help the LGBTQ plus community is nothing short of terror. All of the rights that the LGBTQ plus community has earned are going to be lost. The right to marry who you love, the right to live, without discrimination because of who you love is going to be gone. All right? You're about to retire. Well, if you want to retire like I did, I was very fortunate. I retired. I was 66 years old and I retired, and I received my full Social Security benefits. Right now, Project 2025 says, first of all, we're going to protect Social Security. Okay? Oh gosh, thank you. Thank you for protecting Social Security. All that you're going to do is they're going to say you can't draw anything until you're 70. The option to go at 62, disability under Social Security will not happen. It's hard enough to get it, let's face it. It's hard enough to get disability, Social Security disability. Okay? But that's just gone under Project 2025. Those 900 pages, that big thick book he said? If this is such a simple plan, why are there so many pages? If it is not the details that are in there, the devil is in those details, and that's what we're doing. We're making people aware. How about hourly employees? Instead of a 40-hour work week, we're going to have a 160-hour work month. Okay? Nothing changes, right? But you might be told that by your boss, you've got to work 70 hours this week. And at the end of the month, you're only gonna work, 20 hours that week. And you're not gonna get overtime, because at the end of the month, it adds up to 160 or less. Okay? So this is part of the challenge, this is where it's going. We talked about public radio, public television earlier.
Yeah.
What Project 2025 is saying is we're gonna do away with the federal government, funding the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. No more Sesame Street, no more Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood, okay? You people want that, pay for it yourselves, okay?
I'm gonna clarify that a little bit.
Yes,
A very small portion of what keeps PBS, NPR,
Yeah.
all that going is from the federal government. Mostly
yes,
it's,
mostly it's us
Yeah.
contributing,
it's about,
Absolutely.
their funding from the government is only about 10%.
and it's small, and it's gotten smaller over the years,
Right.
So
So if we want all that, all us people that always have donated will
Right.
continue to donate.
we need to continue to do that, absolutely. Head Start, preschool meals. Right now, in the state of Michigan, every kid that's going to school can get breakfast and lunch and not have to worry about paying for it.
And in the summer, they get bag lunches.
They're getting it right now.
And on Fridays, they get a backpack or some
the weekend.
container for the weekend.
Well, now the backpack, that's a non-government organization
Right.
that's doing that, that's,
Well, but there's some school districts that actually, in Detroit.
Are doing that too.
Yeah,
but the bottom line is the funding
right,
for this
gone.
is gonna be cut, because the Heritage Foundation loves the family so much.
I was just gonna say.
They're saying that it's not the job of the federal government to raise your children. Oh, and I agree with that. But this is helping, raise our children. The fact that public education is so important, it's been the bedrock of the United States of America and our success as a nation and the ability to grow because of public education. They're looking to do away with it. They're looking to replace public education with vouchers, using our tax dollars to pay for people who want to go to a parochial or private school. Okay, and thank God in the state of Michigan, right now, it's codified in our Constitution. No tax dollars will be used for that. But that can be changed. And if it becomes a federal law, okay, then that overrides the state constitution. You hear all about the states have the decision, states' rights, especially when it comes to, a woman's right to choose and, all this. But boy, they wanna, the party of smaller government really wants to control a lot of things, don't they? They wanna have control. So again, because we got young people out here that are becoming smarter, that are becoming better equipped to handle the challenges that we have right now, they're gonna do away with this. I'm a veteran. I'm a veteran of the U.S. Army. They're looking to cut veterans' benefits. Some of these benefits have to do with disability, okay? I tell people the most dangerous thing I did while on active duty was drive on the Autobahn, okay? I must tell you that I was not shot at, okay? Like a lot of our veterans have been. I was not subject to, IEDs and things blowing up in the road, in front of me.
Or Agent Orange.
Or Agent Orange, any of that. But these folks that are on disability, we're looking to cut that. We're looking to cut their medical care. The groups where they're talking about groups 7 and 8, those are the folks like me. I have my own healthcare system. I don't need the VA system, but it's there for me. Well, they're going to cut that, for my
Because
group.
I have 2 sons and
Yeah.
a brother
Mhm.
that use the VA.
Okay.
And one of them was in Iraq being shot at and has some disability.
Yeah.
I don't know if he is even aware of this.
So they're talking about, narrowing disability awards for disabilities that are unrelated to military duties. Okay. Let's look at Agent Orange. Let's look at things like that you were exposed to,
The burn pits.
the burn pits.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to prove that I'm sick today because of what happened 10, 15, 30, 40 years ago. So that's difficult. But they're just saying, oh, they're just gonna cut it out. And each, see the numbers, those are millions of dollars that they're ending to save. This is how they're gonna balance the budget on the backs of the people that we send to defend us. Anybody know anybody who has a child that has a disability, learning disability, or, you know, something along those lines? You know, we've been mainstreaming special needs children in our system for years. Again, we've got a lot of investment there, but I think that folks that have special needs children deserve the support that we're able to give them now. Under Project 2025, you're on your own. Tough luck. Maybe you should, you know, maybe you should just institutionalize that child. Okay? Think about it.
Back to the 50s.
You know, that's a kind of a prevalent attitude among conservatives, is the way that they look at people. You know, if you look at people with disabilities, there's two ways of looking at them. One is it's a problem, and the other is it's an opportunity, and that we're losing productivity by not helping people become productive members of society. The same thing is true with things like poverty. You know, the tendency is for the conservatives to look at the poor people as a problem. And as a business person, I look at them as a bad customer. I mean, it would be much better as a business person to have people have money and be able to come into my business and spend it, you know, than it would be to look at them and say, oh no, those nasty poor people, we've got to do something to punish them, you know, somehow. That seems to be the prevalent.
Not only to
Attitude.
punish them, but to keep them in subservience.
Yeah.
To create almost a slave culture
Absolutely.
where the ultra rich don't really produce any goods or services, but they reap the benefits of the goods and services provided
Right.
by the lower classes.
That's the last 45 years, isn't it?
Yes,
Ever since Ronald Reagan.
yes.
And to be able to break the cycle of poverty that people are born into. I mean, most of us, those of us that are sitting in this room, we probably were fortunate with the luck of our birth.
We grew up in the
Yeah.
best possible time,
Right.
the boomers. Let's just face it, we are the lucky ones.
Yeah. And the challenge is we've had governments for the last 40 plus years that have just said, trust me, you know, it'll trickle down to you.
So now our children have very little hope of surpassing their parents or even equaling their parents in quality of life.
But again, and those same children that are voting age are reluctant to vote because they're saying, what's the use? But we need to make sure that we talk to them in a positive way, don't preach, you know, please vote for the right person, and because Project 25 is going to change your life.
Can I ask a question just about that? Is that, there any federal programs for students? Is that what Project 2025 is advocating? I don't know.
Project
It's
2025,
advocating getting rid of all federal programs.
not all, but
Or
most,
most.
you know.
So the
there's a-
states could pick up if they chose to,
Sure.
but there's no funding for anything.
That's the
Right.
point.
Yeah.
Most states, by the way, most red states,
They're the ones who get the
they
money.
get more money than from the
Then they
federal
could
government
give
than
they
they
put in.
the ones who
give
give the
into
money.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And so again, you're kind of cutting off your nose to spite your face with a lot of these things for those red states that are, you know,
So many people who are supporting the Trump agenda are actually voting against their own best
Right.
interests.
Yes.
I have a grandson that, in the military, he was in the military.
right.
And on his Facebook, he has Trump with, when he got shot, with the blood running down his face and a
Flag.
big American flag over his head, like he was a hero.
Mhm.
And of course, I knew he's been going to vote for Trump. He's been telling me when we've talked. But I'm so angry at him.
Yeah.
I don't even, I can't, I don't know, I wanna just tell him, you're not welcome at my house, don't come around. I know I'm not supposed to, but I'm fighting
Where
it.
does he live?
Wisconsin, an important state, and
Okay.
his brother, and they're very close, but his brother is in college, and I want to contact him and tell him, make sure he's gonna vote, well, I'm hoping he'll vote not for Trump, because he's a college kid and he's much more, but they're very close.
Mhm.
But, yeah, and they're in Wisconsin, which is my other grandchildren and everybody are in Connecticut, and that's a blue state, and they're all Democrat in that area. But I don't know how to handle it. I'm so angry at him.
Well, it's very difficult, first and foremost. One of the things I just like to say, and I've said this, and I'm gonna continue to say it, there's 40% of the people out there that we're never gonna change their mind. They're gonna vote for whoever's got an R by their name, they're gonna vote for them no matter what, okay? I believe there's 40% of the people out there that are gonna vote for the D by their name, no matter what, okay? God, I hope it's that 20% in the middle. That's where we need to spend the next 4 months. That's where we need to spend our effort. I feel for you because, obviously it's family,
Yeah,
but there's some people you just need to write off.
yeah.
You need to say, I'm disappointed, I don't think I can change your mind. I'm going to go talk to other people who's I've got a
But
chance of.
how would you address his brother, whom I don't know his political affiliation?
I would just say,
I want to contact him
yeah,
and
send him an
ask
email.
him aware of Project 2025 and kind of, put feelers out. And but I know that the two of them are like
Yeah,
this.
send your grandson in college an email, you've got his email.
Yes.
Ask him, are you familiar with Project 2025? Does it concern you like it concerns me?
Okay.
And then I would bake some cookies for the other guy and put in the box of cookies a note about the veterans benefits going
Right.
bye-bye.
Yeah.
That'd be the other thing.
That's a very good
Remember
idea.
Grandma's cookies? This will be the last batch you ever get.
It's interesting that Trump may consider himself a hero because he got shot, which is a little different than he felt about John McCain.
Yes,
Yes.
exactly.
Yes.
I don't like people who were captured.
Yeah.
Right.
Or the military are losers. in some
Losers,
sense.
yeah.
Now, my daughter-in-law from Connecticut texted me this morning and asked me, what's the deal? Now, I have not seen this. All these people are wearing bandages on their ears.
Yep.
Yeah, Are
To show
they
that they're-
making fun of him, or are they
No,
embracing him?
I think they're saying
Solidarity.
he's
It is solidarity.
our,
Okay.
he's,
Okay. I was hoping it
he's
was the
our
other way.
martyr. He's our martyr.
Yeah.
One more thing I'd just like to share is,
I'm sorry.
right now, your bank account, your savings account in the bank is insured by the FDIC. The Project 2025 does away with that. It does away with almost all regulation on banks. Okay, when we had the big 2008 crash, banks that were too big to fail were bailed out.
Yeah, I remember that.
What was it, 2 years
With
ago
my
now?
tax dollars.
Yeah, we lost, they had a couple of banks went under, and US government stepped in to make sure that you and I, if I had money, that money wasn't lost. That's done. You're on your own under Project 2025. And banks can be speculating, playing the casino that is stock exchange and all that other stuff. So again, you're on your own. You should be. Pull yourself up by the bootstraps. Okay, that type of thing. Now, so this is not something. This is not some wild-eyed liberal snowflake out here talking about this, because you recognize who this guy is.
Oh, yeah.
Unfortunately.
Okay, what did he say on January 5th, 2021?
Well, no, Trump said it's gonna be wild. He said,
All hell
It's gonna
will
break.
break
Oh, yeah,
loose
yeah, yeah.
tomorrow.
yeah,
All hell will break loose tomorrow. Did it?
it did.
Okay. What's he saying here?
They're gonna purge the federal government,
Okay.
Justice Department, everything.
I tend to, you know, look at things that people say like this and say, okay, it's a real deal. I'm concerned. And
He's got all that Christian stuff behind him.
I know.
Oh,
As somebody recently put on Facebook, what exactly about Trump reminds you of Jesus?
yeah, I saw that.
I have no idea. But that, by the way, I don't consider that to be Christian stuff. I consider that to be idolatry.
There you go,
Okay?
Propaganda also.
Yeah, and much like, you know. So we've had a great talk. And I want to continue to discuss, but I want to just leave you with one thought. And this thought. They're counting on you to give up.
But I need that.
Okay. They're counting on you to be too fearful, too distracted, too hurt, too busy.
This shouldn't be discouraging, it should be motivating.
Right.
It should be like a
I said
fire.
I'm
in
gonna
your
fight like
gut.
hell. I'm gonna put signs out. My kids don't want me to. I don't. If something happens to me at my age, I'll go down fighting because I grew up in the '60s where women had no rights. I had to quit my job. I was 3 months pregnant because they would not let you work past 3 months being. That was in the '60s.
Mhm.
Yes, I didn't have a credit card. I had nothing.
Right. We just celebrated
Right.
50 years of a woman being able to have a credit card in her own name.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. So,
Oh
and
my
that's
God.
why I can't. When I see these women I don't understand.
When I see the women at the Republican convention,
Yes.
did you check your uterus at the door?
Exactly.
Well, again, Mary, I really appreciate it because it should be, not causing us to, huddle down and go like this. We should be out on the streets telling people. And guess what? It is happening. Monday night, Heather Cox Richardson, how many of you read her work every day?
Every day.
Heather Cox Richardson
Oh,
is,
I have it. I print them out.
yeah,
Yes.
she is a history professor. She is amazing.
Amazing. Yes.
She held an hour-long session on Project 2025 that was simulcast to 37,000 people on Zoom. We simulcast it down at West Shore,
Okay.
and it was wonderful. But it's also an organization called Red, Wine, and Blue, made up of women that are very active here in the state of Michigan, that are making everybody that they talk to aware of Project 2025 and the dangers. So again, you're not alone. We're not out here crying in the wilderness, okay? But we're leading the way. I'm proud of what we've done here. We started this before it was cool. We're going to continue it. We're going to continue the discussions. And I would give you, again, like I said, focus on the people that are undecided. And then when they say Joe Biden's too old, okay, ask them a question. Don't come right back and say, no, he's not. Or don't come back and say, Trump's 78, he's 80, it's only 3 years. No. Ask him, why do you think he's too old? Do you think that he has put together a team that's capable of, getting things done? When you look at the people he has surrounded himself with, they are all capable, experienced professionals in their fields. Look at Pete Buttigieg and what he's done as our Secretary of Transportation. More than any other Secretary of Transportation has done anywhere. okay, for the benefit of those of us, for example, as a frequent airline flyer, I really like what he's doing, you know, making, and the airlines have come around.
And now they gotta pay you when
Yes,
you mess up.
absolutely.
And not with, like I just got before I got the ticket to go again if I want to, but not the cash.
You ever tried to use one of those?
Right, I know that,
Honest to God, it had to be 30 characters long,
yeah.
and if you made one mistake, it was, you know,
More important, you know, when somebody talks about age, and that making the point they think that he's too old to govern, he has governed exceedingly well for the past 4 years.
Yeah.
Can I point to all the things that he has accomplished in the last 4
Right.
years? Also, with age, as a person of age myself, comes a broad view and wisdom. And there's nothing more important when you're dealing on the world stage than a knowledge of the past, the true past, and relationships with other leaders that respect you. Trump has none of that.
And because he is not an actor, President Biden,
right.
he, you know, and he has a stutter and is, you know, that they beat him up because of that.
Right.
And
Well,
that's
again,
too bad they're not looking at the full picture.
I think, you know, we just have to, we always tell the truth. We always, you know, don't sugarcoat things. And I just said, yeah, he's old, but he's wise. And I'd rather have wisdom there right now
A
than
truthful,
someone,
wise person,
yeah,
as opposed to
than someone who scares me.
Right.
And this